I've created a new file called pydownloader.py, and it's still in the same PyCharm project we created early on in the course. And the file right now contains the blueprint code that we also defined back at the beginning of this course. As mentioned in the previous video, this one will design the interface. And our application is going to be using a vertical box layout, so let's add that. Layout is QVBox layout. And recall that we need two QLine edits, a QProgressBar, and a QPush button. The first one we'll call URL. Second one will be save location. Our progress bar will just be progress. And finally, our QPush button will be called download. It'll have a text of download as well. Of course, we need to add all these to the layout. And in the interest of saving some time, I'm just going to copy paste the code. Of course, make sure it's all indented properly and that this is fixed. Finally, of course, we need to set this layout to our QDialog. Nothing new really here. But let's run our application. The first time you run a new file in the existing PyCharm project, you have to right-click here and select Run. Later on, we'll be able to use this standard Run button, I guess. So if we run the application, we see that the interface is functioning, but it's also very confusing. There's no description of what these line edits are. The progress bar looks kind of like an error on the screen, honestly. And the title of the application is still Python. In fact, the only thing that looks decent in this entire application is our QPush button that says download. So let's make the entire application look more than decent. First, let's change the window title from Python to something more meaningful. So to do that, I'll just call self.set window title, and I'm going to put PyDownloader in the window title. Notice that it's usually a good idea to store this in a variable, but this will do for now. Then let's add the placeholder text to our QLine edits here. One important thing is that you should add the placeholder text before adding that widget to the layout. So we're just going to insert some code here, and I'll say set placeholder text, which, as its name says, placeholder text, and takes a string as an argument. In this case, our placeholder text. The first one will have the URL, and our save location will have the placeholder text of, well, file save location. Let's run the application to make sure that everything's working so far, and notice here that now we can click this regular run button. And you see that the window title is now PyDownloader and the placeholder text is here. But is it? Notice that the URL placeholder text is missing, but that's just because we currently have the URL QLine edit selected. If I select something else, it'll show up, as you can see right here on the screen. This happens because of something called focus. Our URL QLine edit in this case has the focus, which translated means has this blinking cursor on it. So we can easily fix this by setting the focus manually on the entire application. If I close this, I can just add at the end self.setFocus. Let's run the application once again just to make sure. And you see that both the URL and file save location placeholder text is there. But one thing that still looks ugly is our QProgressBar, which is the only thing left. Kind of still looks like nothing, so let's make it look like something. If I actually make our progress bar have the value of 0, and to do that I'll just call this set value and pass an integer as a parameter, in this case 0, it will make it look like something. Baby steps, so run the application, you see that the 0% appears on the screen. However, this still kind of looks ugly. This 0% is offsetting. Everything's vertically aligned, but this 0% is to the right of the progress bar. So let's move this 0% to the middle of the progress bar. In order to do that, I'll just call progress.setAlignment, and I'll pass the argument q.align_h_center. Now, what's interesting about this Qt static class is not only that it has a very super extensive functionality, but also that it's actually the first time we use something from our Qt core module that we've been importing the whole time. As you can see, it's no longer grayed out, meaning that something is using it. In this case, that's our Qt static class. Let's run the application again. And you can see that the 0% is now in the middle and the Q progress bar is stretched out. Now we have our UI in place, and even in this first basic UI video, I'm sure that you've learned a lot of stuff. We've definitely covered a lot. We haven't called the set value before, we haven't definitely called the set alignment, we haven't set the placeholder text manually, and all that stuff. But still, our PyDownloader doesn't do anything yet, so let's fix that as well.